Hi everyone, welcome to week 10. This week we're going to look at adjectives and agreement and a little bit about the genitive. Alright, so these are your adjective endings, and you'll note perhaps right off the bat that they should look familiar, that these are second declension endings, first declension endings, and second declension endings, the us endings being masculine, of course, and the endings being neuter, and you can see the genders listed up here. We refer to these adjectives as us, adjectives, or sometimes 2, 1, 2, because they are second declension, first declension, and second declension, or use second declension, first declension, and second declension endings. All right. These endings also correspond to genders. So the second declension endings will be masculine, the us endings will be masculine, the endings, the first declension will be feminine, and the endings, the second declension will be neuter, and we'll talk about how those work in a sec. So no new endings to learn here, right? These are all endings that you're familiar with. They're kind of combined in a way that is new, but no new ending. If we go back, the accusative singular masculine form is, of course, All right, so here's kind of the important distinction to keep in mind. So nouns have gender assigned to them independent of declension. So we've learned that most first declension nouns are feminine, but there are some exceptions. So for instance, down here, right, puella is a first declension noun that is feminine. That is the conventional gender for first declension noun. Nauta, however, is a first declension noun that is masculine. That is an exception to the rule, but that is the gender assigned to nauta, nautai, okay? Now, the noun is in charge. So in other words, if I have the form now Tom, right, we know that is our accusative singular ending, right? But because it is nauta, it is from the noun nauta, that will be masculine. And so these three things, case, number, and gender, accusative singular masculine, will be then applied to the adjective. So if I want to say the tall sailor, I need the accusative singular masculine form of the adjective. All right, so again, if I want to say the tall sailor, then I say all Tom, now Tom. Oh, you know what? I just did the very thing that I want you not to do. Sorry about that. So if I want to say the tall sailor, I say al tum, now Tom. And the important thing is that both of these are accusative singular masculine. We know that now ta is a masculine noun. That's what makes it masculine. It, the noun, determines the gender. We know that adjectives, these us adjectives, use those us endings for the masculine. So is the accusative singular masculine, and that is why it is and and they still agree. All right, so nouns will have gender assigned to them. Most of them will follow a conventional pattern, at least for now, but there will be some exceptions. As I said, like nauta, adjectives will have consistent gender in that all masculine forms are the us forms, all feminine forms are the a forms, all neuter forms are the forms, and you use the information from the noun to match them up. Agreement, which is what we just did there, is the idea that nouns and adjectives agree, i.e. have the same gender, number, and case. That's how we match them up. That's how we know what adjective goes with what noun. In English, agreement occurs with proximity / word order, but in Latin, you can separate words and they can still agree because they will have the same gender, number, and case. To continue our example, if I want to say the tall girl, right, now girl is feminine, so the tall girl becomes altam puelam. Note that, of course, the noun has the same ending because both girl and sailor are the same declension. Al Tom, the adjective, has a different ending because girl is a different gender from nauta, right? So the declension doesn't really matter, only insofar as it can help us with the gender. But remember, each noun has its gender, and that's what determines the gender of the adjective. So again, because nauta is masculine, that is why it's altum, the masculine ending for the adjective. Because puellam is feminine, that's why it's altam, the feminine ending for the adjective. Hit the wrong, sorry about that. All right, and just an illustration of this that might be useful in a number of ways. This is just about the use of alumnus and alumna. All right, but you can see that the us is masculine, the a is feminine. All right, that is our plural. That is our feminine plural, and then of course the mixed plural uses the masculine for Latin. All right, but that's just a good way to sort of associate those endings with the genders. A good little visual to help you associate those genders, or those endings, I should say, with the genders. All right, so let's practice with the adjectives a little bit. All right, so all you are doing is identifying the case number and gender of those adjectives. Number one, we've already done. That, of course, is accusative, singular, feminine. All right, and now remember, right, it's only multiple genders when it's on a noun. Because this is an adjective, it has to be feminine. All right, multos, accusative, plural, masculine. All right, and I'll let you fill in the rest. You can see in number 3 there are multiple blanks because it has multiple possibilities. Columns right, case number 2. All right, and there's some more to practice here. All right, number 6. Let me just make sure I get it. Okay. So number 6 is ablative. And remember, we don't need that long mark often, but it does distinguish between the nominative and the ablative for first declension noun. So ablative, singular. All right, feminine. All right, and so plenty to practice there. Just identifying case number and all right, and just to see some of this in action, you can see here in the middle. All right, Sequirus peninsulam amoinam. If you're looking for a pleasant peninsula, peninsulam amoinam, and you can see the am on peninsulam, and the am on amoinam, right? And that says they agree. Now, early on, because we're using adjective endings from the declensions we already know, a lot of times, they're not always, the endings will be the same. That will make identifying agreement a little easier. But as we learn more nouns, the endings will not agree, or should I say, the endings will not be the same nearly as often. So don't get in the habit of thinking that the same ending means agreement. Remember, it's the same gender number case. It's just that early on, oftentimes, the same gender number case will result in the same ending, but that will change as we move on. All right, here's another one. All right, so studiis et rebus honestis. All right, rebus is a declension we've not learned yet. It's the 5th declension, but honestis is the adjective with that is ending, right? And so that's going to agree with both rebus as well as studiis. All right, so for honest studies and things. All right, and finally, this is a building in London, but you can see the, decimo there, I should say. So in the 10th year, so decimo, all right, an adjective agreeing with anno. So anno is masculine, ablative singular, and so decimo is masculine, ablative singular. All right. Another example, vestiti, agreeing with weary. All right, so men dressed right. Men dressed correctly. All right, appropriately. And so again, you can see the I ending and the I ending, but it's not that they have the same ending. It is coincidence that they have the same ending. It is much more they're the same gender, number, and case. So they're both masculine, nominative, and plural. All right, so now some exercises that deal with agreement. You need to choose the adjective that agrees with the noun at left. And from a process standpoint, all right, when you're dealing with agreement, you want to identify the gender, number, case of the noun. All right, and then find the same for the adjective. All right, so if you remember that chart from the beginning of the video, you go to that chart, you find whatever the gender number case is for the noun on that chart. So in other words, so I, and that AE can be a number of different things. All right, so it can be genitive singular, it can be dative singular, or it can be nominative plural. All of them are feminine. So I need genitive singular, dative singular, and or nominative plural feminine. and that is going to be pulchri. All right, now, if I go down to Agricola, all right, Agricola is going to be nominative singular. Now, this is one of those first declension nouns that is masculine. All right, so nominative singular masculine. If I go to my chart, my adjective chart from that earlier slide, the nominative singular masculine ending is US. All right, and so that agrees with Agricola. Alta is kind of the trap form, right? That is the form that kind of is easy to mistake as agreeing with Agricola, but because Agricola is masculine, altus is the adjective that agrees. All right. I'll let you do the rest. All right, and now we're taking sort of the next step where you're forming the adjectives to agree with the nouns. All right, so again, actually, you know what? We've already done that one. Let's do a different one. All right, how about number 4? So aurum, genitive, plural, feminine. All right, and so I go to my chart. Genitive, plural, feminine is aurum, so divinarum. All right, and that is going to agree. Again, if I go to, well, let's actually do number 6. I'll let you do number 5, because we talked about that a few times. So ager, right, that is nominative, masculine, singular. All right, if I go to my chart, nominative, masculine, singular is bonus. All right, and again, the R for ager just happens to be its nominative singular ending, right? That ending has nothing to do with the ending on the adjective. What has to do with the ending on the adjective is the fact that it is nominative, masculine, and singular. And again, I go to my chart, find my nominative, masculine, singular, and that is US. Excuse me. All right. So the underlying words are adjectives: maximus, pessimos, and pessimos, and optimus. So gender, number, case of the 3 different adjectives, right? So pessimos is repeated, so that doesn't really... Sorry about that little clatter. Something dropped. All right. So gender, number, case of the 3 different adjectives, and then which noun each adjective modifies. All right. So pessimos is going to agree with a noun that has a different ending, but also have the same gender, number, case. I will give you a hint. It is similar to nauta. All right. So it is... That's sort of the mathematical notation for similar to. So similar to nauta. All right, that is your hint. All right. All right, there are a couple of new genitive uses listed in the chapter. We're not really going to talk about them too much. They're basically just translated of anyway, and this early on, we don't really need to make distinctions among genitive usages. So let's move on to this week's summatives. All right, so we're just translating sentences into English. One thing to sort of point out is when you have adjectives, like in number 1, multi and multa, you'll note that there are no nouns from the modify. What that means is that you sort of supply nouns in English based on the gender of the ending. So because multi has a masculine ending, you'll supply a generic masculine noun. Because multa has a neuter ending, you'll supply a generic neuter noun. So in other words, it's going to be something like many men, all right, don't have many things. All right, and Latin can leave those adjectives without nouns to modify, but English, of course, has to supply those nouns. So again, that's based on the gender, and you use just sort of a generic word that makes sense in the context, so men or boys, something like that, women or girls for feminine, and usually things for neuter. All right, if we look at some of the other ones, like in number 2, all right, remember we're looking at agreement, so Pontus Magnus agree. All right, so the great ocean fills